Hello, John here with another video, and in this video we're going to be talking about the BBC Emulator. I'm not doing a video about how to use the BBC Emulator because there are plenty of videos out there, but if you do want me to do one, then let me know in the comments. But this video is purely aimed about how to make the BBC Emulator emulate the Turbo MMC system that I have got on my hardware, on my actual physical BBCs. And so you guys will be able to mess around with the same sort of system, but in a virtual world, effectively, on an emulator, what I can do in the real world on my BBC. So I hope you guys find this interesting, and just let me know. Now, the way the Turbo MMC works is that you have one file, and that file resides on the SD card or the MMC card or whatever storage device is currently out there, because there are many different types of MMC storage. There's the Turbo MMC system, which is the one I use. There's also someone else that does it but uses a micro SD card, and I've seen others that use a USB stick that's currently just connected inside, a 1 gig USB stick. So there are many different ways of the MMC system being architected, but in this particular instance where I'm using Turbo MMC, is that you have this one file called the Beeb.MMC file, and that file is roughly about 100 megabytes, and in the world of the BBC, 100 megabyte file, if you split it up by the number of discs you can have, that works out to 512 discs you can have contained within that one file. So the discs are numbered from 0 to 501. Now, each of these disk slots can contain an SSD disk, which is a solid state disk, or a single-sided disk, or a DD disk, which is a double-sided disk. And each slot can hold one of those files, so you can have 512 solid state disk, or 512 single-sided disks, or 512 double-sided disks. And each one of these disks can be individually mapped onto the MMC system. Now, the MMC system allows you to have 4 drives configured on the BBC, from drive 0 to drive 3, and so you can utilize the MMC system and assign 4 of those disk images inside that one file to the virtual drives of the BBC Micro. See, the BBC Micro in reality could have and some do have 4 drives attached to it, and so they are referenced as drive 0 to drive 3. So, keeping this architecture in mind, this is how we're going to configure the BBC Micro emulator to run the MMC disks. So here we are. Here's my Windows 10 machine, and the first thing we need to do is we need to install the BBC Emulator. Now, these links I'll put in the description, but just for the sake of this video, I've put them onto a file on my desktop. So what I'm going to do is going to paste it in. So we're using Beeb.M for this video. Download the latest version, 4.14. I'm going to say run to that because I want it to run immediately. Here we go. So it's doing the antivirus check, and now it should go into run mode. Here we go. So we're going to install it. So yeah, that'll be fine. Yes, please. Beeb.M, yes, want to create an icon on the desktop, and then install, and then launch, just to see if it's working. There we go, there's the BBC Emulator. Oops, didn't mean to make it full screen. There we go. And so you can do the standard thing, you know, print John is great at videos. Oops. 20 print sometimes has typos. Go to 10. There you go. So that's just a typical BBC Micro. Back in the day when I was a kid, into the shop, 3 lines, run out the shop. Slightly more naughtier words than that. So that's the emulator installed, and then the next thing is on my GitHub. I need to download some files, so we'll put that in here. Go into my GitHub, and we're just going to download 2 files. So when you look at it, you'll see a directory that says Turbo MMC. So click on that, and there's 2 files. So click on the first one, download, and we'll store it straight into the download file. And then we'll back up one, click on the second one, do the same, download it straight into my downloads directory. And now these are the files that will activate the MMC in the BBC Emulator. So what we need to do is we need to copy these files. So I'll put one there. There we go. And we'll do another one of these. Put that side. So in the downloads directory, so we've got the 2 files, and then we need to copy certain files into certain places. So you look for the BBC Emulator, there it is, and you want the hardware. So click on hardware, and then this Beeb.DLL file needs to be copied into this hardware directory. Say continue, and the reason for that is because this is the DLL that emulates the Turbo MMC hardware. So it's the actual hardware with the SD disk in, and then the ROM file needs to go into the BBC Emulator directory underneath my documents. So there we go, here's my documents, there's a Bbm, and you go into Beeb file, and then BBC, and we just literally copy it into there. Paste, and that pastes into your emulation directory. Now once we've done that, we can configure the Bbm to run. So here we go. So what we're going to do is go into hardware, edit the ROM configuration, and we're going to say we're going to do 13, select a ROM, and it is, which directory are we in? Yeah, BBC DFS MMB. OK, and what we'll do is, just in case, we will save the configuration. Turbo MMC, save, yes, click OK, and then we need to then tell the emulator to use the new interface for the drives. So currently it's set to the native, so we're currently pretending that we've got a proper disk drive. So we're going to have to select a new floppy disk controller board, and it's this one here, the one we've just copied into the hardware directory. So we click OK to that, and it says MMB extension board found. So now the problem is, as soon as we run the emulator, it will hunt for the Beeb.MMC image file, and we haven't got that. So we'll just show you. There you go. So it's fired up, and we'll just check that the hardware is installed. No, so we'll load the configuration. So Turbo MMC, that's it. OK, we'll do a save preferences. Hopefully that'll save the lot. So if we do it again, so it's not finding the image. No, it's not saving it. Still loading. That's alright. We'll just use the Turbo MMC one. Click OK. F12. Yeah. So it's erroring trying to find the Beeb image. Now you can get that image from here, which is the Stardot forum. Someone has kindly put it on the forum for us, so we'll go straight there, scroll down, and there you go. So part 1, so we'll do click that, save, click the second one, save, click the third one, save, click the fourth one, save, click the fifth one, save. So we'll open the folder, and there you go, they're in RAR files. So what you need now is the WinRAR system. So here's the WinRAR downloader for Windows. So we'll put this into there. So we'll run it, get it to install. Install. Yeah, thank you very much. So that's installed it. So here we go. So we can right click, extract to here. So this is going to create the Beeb.MMC file. Now with this we need to copy this and put it into your root directory of the C drive. There we go. Now you can run the MMC file, run the Bbm using that MMC system in read-only mode right now, but if you want to write back to it, we have got to tell the BBC Emulator to run in admin mode, and the reason for that is because the root of the C drive is not writable to anybody but the administrator, so we need to tell the emulator that it's running in administrator mode. So here we go, so run the emulator, there we go. So Beeb extension board, and it's not come up with the error message. Load the ROM configuration because it doesn't remember it. There we go. Click OK. Press F12, which does the break. There you go, Acorn DFS, and now we should have the MMC stuff installed. And there you go, we've got DFS and dutils. So if we do star help DFS, so this is the disk filing system, which should be the normal one. So you've got the likes of drive, enable, info, rename, title, delete, wipe. So they're the standard file commands, or dutils, which is all the MMC stuff. There you go. So disk in, disk boot, disk catalog, dcat, ddisks. So they're all. So the first one, let's do star ddisks, and this should let us know what disks are in all 4 drives. So at the moment there's only one disk mounted in one drive, which is drive 0, which is what we should be in. So if I do star dot, which is catalog, which is to do a catalog, there you go, drive 0, and it's got the games in. So what we can do now is we can say, okay, star dboot 0. There you go, and it's immediately gone into the games archive. And this is the games archive that I showed you in my overview for the physical hardware. So we'll go to my second favourite game. There we go, Planetoid. So I'll just click enter on that. I think it's AZ shift and space. Yeah, there we go. Ooh, that was close. Let's get some movement on here. Oh, blows up. There we go. Brilliant game. Brilliant game. Right, so we'll F12 that. So star dot. So now we're on disk 33. So it's automatically loaded disk 33 into drive 0. So if we do star disks, D disks, there you go. So it's loaded 40 and 39 into, so right, okay, so that's not image 33, so it's image 40 and image 39 in drives 1 and 2, 0 and 2. So we can now, do a catalogue. So dcat will list all the disks on the card, and so it goes right up to 510, but not all of them are populated. So if you do d help star help dutils, there's one that says d3, so star d3 tells you there's 194 disk image slots available out of the 511 that are in there. Now to load a disk into your drives, so you have the standard drive 1 and then star dot, so it's saying there's no disk in there. So to load a disk, you do star disk in, and we'll say we'll load disk 2 into this. So if we now do star dot, there you go, history quiz. So that's loaded disk image 2 into drive 1. So star disks, there you go, disk quiz in drive 1. So if we help dutils, so we've just shown you how to do din. Dboot is just like what we've just done with dcat, shows you everything, but you can put filters on, so I'll show you how to do this. Dlock allows you to protect an image, and it's visualized by this P sign. So that means that this disk image is protected inside the system, so you won't be able to kill the image, which is this dkill. Dunlock, well, unlocks it, takes the P away. D3 shows you how many image slots you've got left. Dkill allows you to kill an image on the system, and D-restore allows you to restore it as long as you've not created and put another image on top of that in that slot. Dnew creates you a new image and mounts it in the drive you want to specify. Dformat allows you to format a new image. Donboot, not sure what that one is yet. This redoes the cat, and this one allows you to, in the real world, in the hardware world, allows you to load a ROM file, the file name ROM, into the ROM slot. But we don't need to do that on the emulator because the emulator has its own configuration. But you could still do it, but it's not really useful in the emulation world. So what we're going to do is we're going to say star dnew. So I'm saying it right. Let's just make sure what drive we're in. Star dot. So what drive are we in? Drive 1. So if I star disks. Right. Let's change to drive 3. Star drive 3. So this one should say no disk. There we go. So if we start do dnew, and we're going to put it into drive 3. Now, and what it's saying is it found an available slot at disk 13 and it's formatted it and mounted it into drive 3. So we can do star dot now, and there you go. So we can title it. So title JCD disk 13. And if we do star dot now, there you go, JCD disk 13. We can also say, so if you do dcat, and as you can see it goes 480, so we're going to mount one at 501. Yeah, so we're going to do 501. You can actually do deform 501. So that's created formatted a disk in slot 501. Then you can do D in 501. So that's loading the disk image 501 into drive 3. Do that. Then we can do star title. JCD disk 501. Star dot. There you go. And so it's titled it. So we'll do the same thing again. Star deform 502. Star D in 502. Star title JCD disk 502. Just check it. There we go. Now dcat should see all those two new disks at the end. There you go. JCD disk 501 and JCD disk 502. You can also do dcat and specify JCD and use the asterisk as a wildcard, and it will find all the disks with JCD in it. So it's found disk 13, which is the disk 501 and disk 502. You can write a program, print John 20 print is 30 print great 40 go to 10. Just do star dot find, so we're in 502, and then we can save JCD. Do star dot, oops, star dot, and there you are. It's saved into that file into disk 501. Help dutils. So let's say we want to get rid of a disk. So let's get rid of 501. You can use star dkill 501. So here we go. So I'm going to kill it. But it's gone and said you can't do it. You need to enable the system to do it. So you have to type in star enable and then do star dkill 501. It's telling you, it gives you the title of the disk, and then you say yes, and there you go, done. So if you do star dcat, 501 has gone. There you go, 501, 500, 502. But you can also restore it. De-restore. So if you've made a mistake, then you can do 501. There you go, star dcat, and 501 should be back. There you go, there's 501. Dutils, oops, help, dutils. Then we can protect and unprotect it if you want. So what we're going to do is do star dlock 501. So we don't want to kill it again. Dlock 501. So star dcat. Oops. So 501 should now have a P against it. So there's 502, 501 has a P. Now we shouldn't be able to kill that. Right, star enable. I think it's protect it from deleting the files off it. I think that's what it means. You can tell I've not used dkill before. But so star help dutils. So we've done that, lock and unlock, ddisk, so star ddisk, let's find out what we've got. So there are all the 4 disks populated. That is how to configure the BBC Emulator to run the Turbo MMC drive system, and how to use the commands for your enjoyment. So whatever stuff I'm going to do on the BBC, the actual BBC, you will be able to follow using the emulator with the Turbo MMC system invoked, and also and to copy it and learn all the stuff that I'm going to be doing. And what I'll be doing is that I'll be putting the solid state disks onto my GitHub site when I'm doing these tutorials. Then you'll be able to load them into your MMC file, because I think you can do help DFS. I think you can do disk copies. Copy source drive to destination drive. There we go. And hopefully that has been a useful introduction to the Turbo MMC subsystem running on the BBC Emulator. And until the next time, have a great day. See you soon. Bye.